Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Commission on the Status of Women. We will, item 1 on the agenda, call our meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Item 2 on the agenda, may we please have a roll call?
Vice Chair Devine.
Here.
Commissioner Katefian. Commissioner Kavanian. Here. Commissioner Lamel.
Here.
Commissioner Monassarian.
Here.
Commissioner Panlaki. Commissioner Sobey.
Here.
Commissioner Walker. Here. Chair Curlin.
Here.
At item 3, report regarding the posting of the agenda. 3A, the agenda for the June 9th, 2008 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on June 6, 2008.
Our next item on the agenda is item 4, introductions and presentations. At item A, we have Jennifer Levin, Ph.D., the Executive Director of Girls on the Run from Pasadena in the San Gabriel Valley. Ms. Levin, please step forward. Welcome.
Thank you.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Levin, and I am the Executive Director of Girls on the Run of Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley. And I brought with me a brief presentation tonight to tell you a little bit about our organization and see if there's any questions that you might have about us and what we do. We're part of an organization that believes that every girl is special, every girl is a winner, and every girl is strong. And for those of you who have not heard of us, Girls on the Run, we are a character development program for girls in 3rd through 8th grade. We combine life skill lessons with training for a 5K fun run or walk in a creative, interactive, and incredibly fun manner. And what we do is we provide tools for girls to manage the tough times of adolescence and embrace their girlhood gifts as they enter middle and high school and prepare for adulthood. Our mission is to educate and prepare girls for a lifetime of self-respect and healthy living. We are both an empowerment and a prevention program. Our goals are to encourage positive emotional, social, mental, spiritual, and physical development, and we try and decrease depression, eating disorders, substance abuse, pregnancies, problems with family, friends, and confrontations with the law among adolescents growing up today. We got started, Girls on the Run was founded by Molly Barker, who's an LCSW in North Carolina. Molly began running about the age of 15 when she found herself in what she calls the girl box, and I'll talk about that in a moment. I brought Girls on the Run to Pasadena in the San Gabriel Valley in 2004, and I'm also committed, as everyone in my board, to helping girls live outside the girl box. So, part of our goal is to shatter the girl box. And when women and girls live inside this box, they learn to value their appearance on the outside rather than recognize the beauty of who they are on the inside. They learn to keep their emotions to themselves and give up their identity so that they'll be popular and well-liked in school. They engage in self-destructive behavior to change their body, their lifestyles, their personalities. And as a result, girls and women who grow up in the girl box also often have increased risk for depression, physical ailments, disordered eating, substance abuse, problems in school, work, family, and with friends. So we have a target population of serving girls in 3rd through 8th grade of any fitness ability, and this is a perfect time to get girls before they enter the girl box. Research has shown that girls are still receptive to adult influence, even though they're starting to feel peer pressure and get messages from our society. And psychologists call this a latency period of development when girls are just now beginning to confront important life and relationship issues. So it's a really key time to get girls as they're growing up. This is how we're organized. There's Girls on the Run International. They're our parent organization to more than 150 councils across North America, and together we serve over 40,000 girls annually. Collectively, we've served 100,000 girls across the United States and Canada since Girls on the Run has started. One thing about Molly and the organization, we have been featured on CNN, Oprah, Reebok Magazine, Runner's World, so we've gotten quite a bit of publicity on a national level. little bit about Girls on the Run of Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley. Since we started, we have provided 17 after-school programs and served over 175 girls. We've also reached an additional 1,500 children, both boys and girls, through school presentations and community outreach. About the nuts and bolts of our program, we actually have two separate programs. One is Girls on the Run, and that's for girls 3rd to 5th grade. And then we have Girls on the Track, which is for girls 6th through 8th grade. The core philosophies of both of the programs are the same, but the discussion topics are geared to appropriate ages. For example, the younger program might talk about body image and healthy eating, where the older program might start to address early signs of eating disorders and disordered eating and how to recognize when you need help. So how do we work? Well, we meet twice a week after school for 12 weeks, so participants have 24 sessions that they participate in. And the lessons address different themes, which I'll show you in a minute. We use running, games, and discussion. We like to get fitness and activities in, and the girls don't even realize that they're doing it half the time. Our lessons include a check-in, what's going on with the girls, what's going on in their life, introduction of the topic, warm-up, processing and stretches, workout, cool-down, and a final processing session. What's great about our program is we are not competitive. Every girl wins, and we recognize we give spirit awards and energy awards at the end of each season, I should say at the end of each day and at the end of each season. And we recognize the girls for their personal best. What did they accomplish that day? Who had the most fun today? So it's non-competitive. We have a standardized curriculum that was developed by the national organization, and the lessons are divided into 3 categories. The first, all about me, getting to know myself, who I am, and what I stand for. Second, building teams, and this is focusing on understanding the importance of cooperation. And finally, community begins with me, and this is learning about community and designing and implementing a community service project. Here's just a few of the lesson topics that we go over. Being a girl of your word, making important changes, caring for our physical health, being emotional is healthy, drugs hurt your chances, values are valuable, learning to listen, gossiping is a bad habit, bullying is for the birds, standing up for myself, being a good sport, community begins with me, media literacy, and finishing strong. So you can see they're all very positive in the messages that we want the girls to learn as part of the program. And here's an example of a lesson. So in taking care of our physical health, we would have a discussion in the beginning, why is it important to take care of our physical health? And we would ask the girls to develop a list of healthy habits that they might be interested in doing. For the warm-up, we might have food group relays, and one of the things that we'll do here is we'll put on one side of the gym or the track or the field all the different food groups in envelopes, and we'll give the girls cards, blueberry pancakes, tofu, chocolate chip cookies, hummus, and they divide in teams and they relay back and forth, and they have to put their card in the appropriate food group. So they learn about, the dairy and the proteins and the fruits and vegetables. Then for the workout, they'll run laps, and every time they run a lap, they'll get a healthy habit card. And this is the Go Fish game, and when you get 2 pairs, you get a point. And so the girls, are always running and trying to figure out how many cards they can get, how many pairs they can get at the end. And again, those who win get a special energy award that all the girls give them. There's nothing materialistic given. Community service is a very important component of our program. It teaches the girls to give back to the community in which they live in. Some of the projects we've done in the past have been sending cards overseas to the troops, making sack lunches for the homeless, doing art projects for kids in the hospital, and then doing cleanup in the local parks in which we have our programs. The season culminates with an end of the season 5K run or walk, and this is an amazing event. All of the girls are assigned a running buddy, and so they practice for their 5K, and then they actually run or walk their 5K with an adult. And to watch the look on the girls' faces as they cross the finish line and get their medal is amazing. Many of the girls are a little fearful, what if I don't finish, what if I don't finish? And it's just about doing the best that you can, listening to your body, have fun, and we've never had a girl not finish the 5K. Our coaches, a rowdy group of bunch there, they're all volunteers. They're all committed to healthy living. All of our coaches undergo a background check, go through our training program, and we have at least one CPR certified at every coach. They have to be passionate about improving the lives of young women, and they don't have to be runners. That's what a lot of people are worried. I'm not an elite runner, and that doesn't matter. You have to just have the energy and the willingness to make a difference in a young girl's life. We also do community outreach and education. For example, we've participated in the Pasadena Unified School District Nutrition Network Week. We've gone to schools and we've done talks about the benefits of exercise and healthy living. We just completed a Spring Wellness Day where we had a health fair and a lot of different breakout sessions for the community to come and learn more about a healthy, active lifestyle. Volunteers are key to our success. All of our coaches are volunteers, our running buddies are volunteers. Volunteers help with our fundraising, our program implementation. They develop all of our coaches' boxes. They help with our grant writing. Volunteer board members, I have one of my board members, Elizabeth Sadlon, and her daughter, who's a participant, Allie, here tonight, and they participate in our committees as well. We get a lot of questions, how do we pay for the program? Well, I'm proud to say that no one's ever been turned away for inability to pay. Over half of our girls are scholarshiped, either full or partial scholarships. And our funds come from Team TR, which is an adult fundraising program we have for adults who are running 5Ks, half marathons, full marathons, where they can raise money for our program. We have a Sponsor the Girl pledge drive, some program fees, grant writing, fundraising, and also corporate and individual grants and sponsorships. What do we have coming up in the future? We have our first ever summer camps, two one-week half-day camps. The first is June 23rd through June 27th. The second is July 28th through August 1st. Our fall season will begin in September 8th, and we are so excited that our 5K this year will be at the first ever Pasadena Marathon. There's going to be a special 5K event for our girls. We're actually starting our season 2 weeks early so that we can be ready for the 5K at the marathon on November 16th. I've given you some information on how to get more information about us. Here's our website for Girls on the Run of Pasadena. There's also the international website, Girls on the Run, and then my email, and I can leave copies of this information for the commission. And we always end with a cheer. Girls on the Run is so much fun. Girls on the Run is number one. We are strong. We are smart. We can run all day long. So thank you for letting me share our program with you. Are there any questions?
I have a couple. I went to your fundraiser this weekend, obviously, and it was great, and I took my daughter, and she's very excited. And I should say that if anyone is interested in sponsoring a girl, the cost was $185 to sponsor a girl to attend the program. So that's important information for you to share. If we were interested as a commission in bringing this program to the city of Glendale, would we have to start a Girls on the Run chapter in Glendale, or would we be within your service area for Pasadena, San Gabriel Valley, such that we could be an extension of the program?
Yes, you would actually go through us. Glendale is actually part of our service area. You just, with the national office, when we designed our territory, Glendale is included in that. Okay,
and is it best, if we were interested in pursuing something like this, is it good to go through the school district, through Parks and Rec, independently? How is the best way to expand into, say, an area or a school district?
Well, it really depends on the cooperation you get from either the city or the school district. We had some hoops to go through initially with Pasadena Unified, but we made a presentation to their health commission. We showed that we met all the requirements for an after-school program. The Girls on the Run requires that we do background checks, but we do a little extra fingerprinting and additional things and TB tests when we go through the school district. So then we have found that it came to us working with individual principals and who was willing to help us get in their schools. The one thing that's wonderful about being in the school district is you eliminate the transportation program. transportation problem. So you have the program right there after school. The kids walk, or if there's an after-school program, they go to the after-school program. The coaches come, check them out, take them to the program, and take them back to the after-school program afterwards. So that eliminates the transportation issue. Whereas if you're at a park, which we are at Victory Park in Pasadena, at 4 o'clock, then parents have to drop their kids off and then come back and pick them up. But it really depends on where you're going to get the most cooperation, depending it be your local city parks or school district.
And then in terms of facilities, do you run on the street? Do you need a track? What's the best physical layout for
Have
the
grass
running?
and we will run.
Okay.
So, no, we run perimeters of park. We run around softball and soccer practices. We've actually, I don't think, ever really run on a track. We would love, track is fine, so we'll run anywhere.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, anyone else have questions or comments?
I do.
Vice Chair Devine.
I'd like to know what your outreach programs are. When you go, you say, I think you mentioned that you go to schools and present your program. How do you do that exactly? What do you just lecture, or do you what kind of program do you provide when you?
We usually go to an assembly, and we have some coaches, and we start off with a little bit of an overview about fitness, the different types of fitness: cardiovascular, endurance, strength. We'll do some fitness games. There's always Simon Says. We do Girls on the Run Say. And so, with jumping jacks and push-ups and sit-ups, and so that really gets their attention. We'll talk about healthy habits, what's important, what can you do with your family, knowing that when we do the outreach to the schools, we're talking to both boys and girls. We kind of just talk about a healthy lifestyle in general. Why is it important? How can you increase your lifestyle? How can you increase the healthy activities that you do at home with mom and dad? And then we leave brochures, or we leave information about the program.
Being a former PE teacher and running, conducting many running programs in the schools for many, many years, this is amazing to me. I'm so excited and so proud of you for doing this. Let me ask you, do you have any requests from teachers to come back and do, because all I see are lesson plans here. Do you have requests like to do workshops for teachers, PE teachers, and have you worked with the Glendale schools at all?
No, we have not gone into Glendale. It's not an area that we have begun to, but we have a lot of interest in it. We have families in La Cañada. We have families in Glendale that I know. We're a little bit of a trek to get to Pasadena, and I think it's to our credit that they're willing to make the drive.
Right.
But also, Pasadena has requested that we start a before-school running program. One of the things that I think makes us so successful is that we are fitness and empowerment, and we're always a little hesitant to separate the two, so we just don't want to become a before-school running program without doing the lessons, because that's what makes us really who we are. Right. But yes, we have a lot of requests.
How many girls do you usually have at one of these events, or like for your camps? What is your average? I know you mentioned you've touched 100,000, and was it 175 that you usually have?
We've had 17 groups, and groups are between 10 and 18 girls, and there's about 3 to 4 coaches per group. So, and that's over 4 years. Mm-hmm. About half of our girls come back and do every single season, and then we get brand new girls as well.
And tell me this: what is your have you studied how many of the girls have done a evaluation as to the carryover? Do they go into high school, junior high, and get into the track and the cross-country sports programs from your program? Do you have any success with that?
We do a pre- and post-test evaluation looking at body image and looking at self-esteem, levels of depression, physical activity frequency.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't...
Tracking?
Pardon?
Tracking.
Yeah, pre and post, before and after the season. We haven't done a long-term one, but we have plans that we're starting to work on that.
I think that would be interesting to look at. Yes. How many of them actually take this and carry it over to high school, and maybe even, who knows, scholarships, whatever.
Absolutely.
It's great. Wonderful program.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Walker?
What are some of the grants that you get? Have you gotten 21st CCLC or other?
I'm sorry, I don't know that one. I should write that down.
The 21st Century Learning Centers in the Classroom.
Oh, no, we haven't gotten those. We recently got a nice-sized grant from the Patron Saints Foundation.
Okay.
We've gotten small grants from Rotary, from other community foundations. We have begun an aggressive grant writing campaign about 3 or 4 months ago. We've actually grown quite a bit. We're very small, and now we're trying to expand. And so our grant writing right now is really increasing, and we've got a lot. We're waiting to hear on something from Kaiser, from some of the banks. So we're still waiting to hear on a lot of the grants.
But not anything from the government or...
No, we haven't.
Because I know there's some grants that are available with community partnerships that are school-based as well. Yeah.
We are working with the school district. We're meeting with them again on Friday to look at what type of a program that we can put together and then go in for some larger funding.
And have you done outreach to private schools?
We have not done outreach to private schools. Part of the problem is our manpower. We're a very small organization. We're always looking for volunteers to recruit, but that is something that's on our list, definitely. So
If you have some materials, I'd be happy to help you pass them out.
that would be lovely. I'd appreciate that very much.
I used to be a principal in the San Gabriel area.
Oh, great. Great.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a question. Hi, I think your program is wonderful and definitely needed. What is your media literacy program about?
Our media literacy program is about body image. We have a session where we have the girls, we pull out magazines, and we have them look at different pictures. And is this healthy? Is this unhealthy? What do you think of this picture? It was very interesting. When I coached one of these sessions, the girls on their own ripped up the pictures that we had pulled out. We don't like these pictures. Why? Well, the women look sick. They don't look healthy. What do you want to do about it? We want to rip them up. So that was about 2 years ago when I did that lesson. I don't get to spend as much time coaching as I used to, but that's pretty much where we are right now.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Thank you so much.
Thank you
we
for
look
having
forward
me.
to continuing to meet with you and to strategize how we might bring this to Glendale.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, our next item on the agenda is oral comment. Discussion is limited to items not a part of the agenda. Time is limited to an amount to be set by the chair. The commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Staff may refer the matter to the proper department for investigation and report. We have 4 cards. I'll take them in order of receipt, and we'll set our time at 5 minutes max. Okay, our first speaker is Marlene Gomez. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Marlene Gomez. I am the project director of SAFE, which stands for Smoke Free Air for Everyone. We are funded by the LA County Department of Public Health to work on the problem of dripping tobacco smoke in apartments and condominiums. We have been informed that the Glendale City Council will be soon examining the problem in some detail, and since we have been working on this issue since the year 2000, we thought it would be helpful to come and provide some information about this. Most apartment buildings allow smoking in their units and their outdoor common areas. Unfortunately, tobacco smoke can drift from one unit into other units in other parts of the apartment building. It can move through plumbing, electrical systems, cabinets and closets, ceiling fans, fireplaces, ventilation systems, and under doors from halls. It also can enter windows and doors from residents smoking on their patios or balconies and in courtyards. The California Air Resources Board in January 2006 identified tobacco smoke as a toxic air contaminant, as dangerous as the worst industrial air pollutants with no known safe level of exposure. Dripping tobacco smoke in apartments is a especially serious problem for women and their children, since they will tend to spend more time at home. A statewide survey in 2004 of over 600 apartment residents commissioned by the American Lung Association of California showed that 46% of the respondents had experienced secondhand smoke drifting into their apartment, and that packet does include that survey report. 82% also said that they would prefer to live in a totally non-smoking apartment building or at least a non-smoking section. According to the California Department of Public Health, only 13.3% of California adults are still smoking. that number could be higher in low socioeconomic communities. So if the council made a decision to require to have smoking and non-smoking sections in apartment buildings, people who smoke would be accommodated, and people who don't smoke and want to live in non-smoking environment could also be accommodated. Most landlords don't know they can do this, or that they have a right to create non-smoking sections and smoking permitted sections in non-smoking buildings. Some of them fear that lawsuits if they regulate smoking. Yet apartments which are not smoked in save a lot of money in maintenance. So having non-smoking apartments is a very good business decision. On the other hand, apartment applicants seem to be afraid to ask for non-smoking units, perhaps because they are afraid they will be denied a rental. In addition, our surveys show that current residents are reluctant to complain about their neighbor's smoke drifting into their apartment. Perhaps they assume nothing can be done and they won't want to be identified as complainers. We urge you to please put this issue on a future agenda so we can further discuss this and allow for more discussion about this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Esther Schiller. Doing this as a tag team so that we got more time. Welcome. Good evening. My name is Esther Schiller. I'm the director of Safe Smoke-Free Air for Everyone. We have a special project on the internet which we call the Smoke-Free Apartment House Registry. On the internet it's www.smokefreeapartments.org. Smoke-free in apartments is one word. Apartments is spelled out with an S at the end. The website lists the vacancies of apartment owners who are regulating tobacco use in their buildings. We have approximately 320 apartment owners in California and across the nation, but we only have 6 owners or property management companies in Glendale that list their non-smoking vacancies with the registry. Considering the numbers of apartment buildings in Glendale, that's not very many. We recently conducted 250 surveys of apartment residents in Glendale to determine the percentage that would like to live in non-smoking environments. Preliminary results show that most Glendale residents would like to have the opportunity to live in a non-smoking environment. We hope to have the final results of those surveys when this issue comes before the City Council. The City Council, we've heard, is going to consider regulating secondhand smoke in outdoor areas and also in apartments on June 17th. That date may change. We will let you know. There is another factor to be considered in all of this, and that is the number of adults and children who have chronic illnesses which can be made worse by tobacco smoke coming into their apartment every day. In fact, there are more people with chronic illnesses such as asthma, heart, lung disease, and cancer survivors than there are people who smoke. In surveys that we have conducted in other cities, such as Santa Monica and Calabasas, approximately 1/3 of apartment residents will report that their neighbor's smoke has drifted into their home in the past year. Approximately 1/2 of those respondents will report that someone in their household has a chronic illness. That's a lot of people every day being exposed to tobacco smoke. Under fair housing laws, people with chronic illnesses like asthma, heart disease, diabetes, cancer are entitled to a reasonable accommodation so they can use and enjoy their unit. But unless there are non-smoking sections or non-smoking buildings, there really is no place for these special adults and children to be safe from tobacco smoke. It is ironic that if you stay in a hotel for 1 or 2 nights, you'll be given the choice of a smoking or non-smoking room. But if you apply for an apartment, a place that you may live in for years, you do not have that choice. We believe there should be choice. A few points about legal issues. There's no legal right to smoke. It's a choice, not a legally protected right. And the act of smoking has not been considered a privacy right by the courts. Judicial opinions have said that things like how many children you'll have is a privacy right.
but not smoking. So it's legal to require smoking and non-smoking sections in apartment buildings. Several cities have begun to adopt ordinances, specifically Calabasas, Oakland, Novato, and we're anticipating that many other cities will begin to do this, and we're hoping it will happen in Glendale. We're asking that you put this issue on your agenda so that you can discuss it and perhaps take some action. Thank you very much.
Our next card is Dr. Rolla Lindsay. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Your colleague, Elizabeth Manasarian, asked me if I would be here tonight to talk a little bit about community service and service clubs, and because I stand before you as sort of the first of a lot of things, and I've been the first in a lot of things for a lot of years, so kind of look around and think, you could probably all be my daughters. Let me start at the beginning. In the 1950s, when the West and I were young and we came out in the covered wagon, and I left college to get married, to the dismay of my parents. Girls were sort of going to college in the 50s to get their MRS. That was the degree. And I sort of couldn't see a whole point in staying there. Beside that, I had this lovely boyfriend, and that's what I wanted to do. So without my parents, they weren't thrilled with this idea, but they knew I was going to do it anyway. So they made me promise that I would finish college somehow. And so I got married and was out of school and having kids and doing all of the things that women do. I ended up in 3 PTAs. You know, we did the Girl Scout thing and the Boy Scout thing and all that stuff. And 14 years later, I went back to school. And when I did, women were not doing this yet. So Elizabeth said, share this. I had 4 kids. My youngest was 4 at the time I went back to college. God love Glendale Community College and Cal State LA. That's where I started all of this. And my next door neighbor came over. She had 3 children. And she said, you must not do this, Rolla. You must not do this. All of your children are going to grow up to be rotten delinquents. I was sort of the first in the neighborhood. Well, I just want to tell you quickly that although it is true that the sheriff's car was in front on the street frequently, it was never for my kids, it was always for hers. And I thought that was sort of amusing. And in case you're wondering what happens to children of women who go out and do things, mine are all doing quite well, thank you. My oldest son is retired from 21 years in the Air Force. He flew the F-4G and came out with a fistful of ribbons. And my older daughter is the rocket scientist. We all make jokes about rocket scientists, but I have a real one in my family. And my younger son owns his own business, and my youngest daughter is a landscape designer. So there you go. Those are my 4 troublemakers. But I think that thanks to my mother, I was sort of programmed into a life of service, and I've always felt that life is not worth anything if you are not giving back. In the early days of service clubs, of course, women were not allowed. They wouldn't take them. And then in 1987, the Supreme Court of the United States decreed that service clubs were not social organizations, they were business organizations, and women had to be admitted, and I was the first woman into the Rotary Club of Glendale. I was told on the previous Saturday night at a Sister Cities function that on the next Thursday, when they were going to take me in and the district governor was going to pin on my pin, there was a whole table of the older gentlemen sitting in the back who were going to get up and walk out. And I just said to the president, gosh, why don't we just let that be their problem? Lesson 1, not our problem. I had a wonderful, that's been 20 years. And then in 1996, I was the first woman president. Although there were a couple of these guys who refused to come to a meeting all year the year I presided. Hey, not my problem. We had a wonderful year. The thing about service clubs, I spent a lot of years teaching, so I do the show of hands thing. How many of you are in service clubs? How many Rotarians do we have here? Yes, Elizabeth? Okay. Delighted. It's Pasadena Rotary that gave Jennifer the money, but if she were to contact us, we would go to our Glendale Rotary Foundation and help this program get started in this town. We need these. We need this. We all need to be working together, and that's the joy of being in service organizations, is that we have the opportunity to reach out to our communities and to give back a little bit of what we have gained from it. I've had an extraordinary professional life, and I've done lots of interesting things, mostly in male environments. That's why these guys, it's their problem. You just work with them. Smile and go about your business, right? I've taught a lot. I'm retired from the faculty at the University of Southern California. Fight on. And I've run nursing homes, and I was the executive director at the Glendale YWCA for 2 years. They're just all these things, and I've been consulting forever. I teach management skills. I love to work with nonprofit organizations, and I do workshops in ethics. Not that anybody needs that nowadays. What I have discovered is still a little bit with us, is what I call the pat on the head. When I first went back to school, I was the only. I was ancient. I was 32. Really old. And I had this biology class at Glendale, and a professor who couldn't understand me because I wasn't 17 or 18. And he would explain biological concepts, and then he would look at me and say, "Did you get that, honey?" And I learned to smile, nod, and go about my business. I've always felt that if you can dream it, if you can think it, you can do it. Is it easy? Of course not. I've never found an easy. If I'd found an easy, I would have been, way ahead of all this. Can we do anything we set our minds to? No, we can't. It's not possible. We can't keep all the balls in the air at once. There are going to be times when we just don't do that. That's okay. To begin rightly is to end rightly. And one of the pieces that we put out when Tom and I were co-president, I got to be president, I've been president twice in Glendale Rotary. Last year we did the co-presidency thing, is the words of Marion Wright Edelman, the founder of the Children's Defense Fund. Oh God, take our tiny acorns of service and turn them into towering oak trees of hope. That's what you do. That's what we all try to do as best we can. The word is strive. We don't always do it, but we're going to do the best we can. I encourage you, if you are not involved in any service organization, you don't have to become Rotarians, although I'd love it. Maybe some of you are in that other dreaded organization. My late first husband was in that dreaded organization. We managed to stay married even though he was a Kiwanian. He also was a Bruin, a Trojan. So it's possible. You can do anything. But just remember that you are all the daughters of the King, and that's from Psalms. And the King's daughter is all glorious within. Your clothing is of wrought gold, and remember that. And thank you very much. And if you have any questions, holler at me anytime. Call me. I'm happy to do work. And for a group like this, I wouldn't even charge.
We might have to take you up on that. The budget's being cut. Thank you very much for coming and sharing your thoughts with us. Okay. Yes, it has to be real quick because we can't.
Real quick comment, too. There's Ms. Makiko Nakasone, who was with Dr. Rala Hall, who's the second female president of Rotary Club of Glendale. I wanted her to be introduced as well. So thank you for coming, both of you. Thank you.
Okay, our next card is Ms. Sharon Wiseman. Welcome.
Commissioner Curlin, Chair Curlin, Commissioner, staff, and those listening. I'm Sharon Weissman from Far North Glendale. And my concern this evening is the decision of the Glendale City Council to end funding for school resource officers at the Glendale middle schools. We are having difficult budget times all over. And while I believe the armed and sworn officers aren't the best extra eyes and ears on the campus, and using them as a daily contact for minor infractions isn't the best use of their time, I am concerned that they are being dropped without any replacements. And with all the other projects this commission is involved in, please consider how we can replace them, perhaps with senior volunteers or some other community resource. Crime prevention is so much more effective than corrective measures after the fact, and middle school is a really critical period for behavior development. I think our city council may not realize if they had to drop some, high school students are perhaps a little more civilized than even our middle schools, and that's really where the crisis is. I bring this to this commission because campus safety of our students, of our school children, has a direct effect on the status of women, and I'm hoping you, with your connections, you can somehow help to make up this loss. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay. This concludes our oral comments, so this item is closed. We'll move to the next item on our agenda, which is item 6, consent items. Item A is approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting held on May 12, 2008. I did note that Ms. Weissman's name was misspelled. On the top of page 2, we need one N. Any other changes to the minutes of May 12, 2008? Is there a motion, then, for approval of the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Is there unanimous consent for the passage of the minutes of the May 12, 2008 meeting as amended? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is item 7A, 1A. 7 is our business agenda. A, action items. Item 1 is presentation of summary evaluation of the 2007 sessions of Rosie Goes to Wall Street program, and there is a motion to note and file the after action report for the Rosie Goes to Wall Street program. Has everyone had a chance, I hope, to read this extensive report, which was prepared by Ms. Haddad for her superiors? Does anyone have any questions or comments on the report or anything that should be discussed within the confines of the 2007 camp so we don't blend it with the next item, which is our 2008 camp? Okay, anybody have any questions, comments? Okay, is there a motion then to note and file the action report for the Rosie Goes to Wall Street program?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, that report is noted and filed, and please thank Ms. Haddad for her work.
Won't do that.
Okay, the next item on our agenda then is 7A2, consideration and discussion of the 2008 Rosie Goes to Wall Street program, and that has item 7A2A, a motion providing direction to staff regarding the Rosie Goes to Wall Street program. You'll note in this report there's a lot of overlap with 2007. Some of the problems in 2007 were identified, the solutions or the suggestions to cure those, not really problems, but, learning experience to grow the camp. We have the addition of the middle school camp this year. We have the change of venue. We're currently looking for staff, and then obviously, most importantly, we have the budget changes. So if you will note on page 9 of the budget that was submitted with the report, we would be spending this year $15,000 from our budget currently based on the proposed budget that has been set forth. Vice Chair Devine?
I have a question on the budget and Spears. How did we come up with the dollar proposal for the personnel? Do you have any idea on that one? I tried to work the figures and...
If I can, Commissioner Devine, a couple of things. One is, I think we need to, under the fiscal impact under the report, in terms of looking through the report today and making some additions here, the first line there, the total cost of the program is anticipated to be approximately $50,775 is a typo, I believe. It needs to say $54,725 because if you refer to page 8 under the proposed budget for 08, if you look at the personnel charges, operations, and administration, although administration is in kind, and you add all of that up, you come up with $54,725.
I'm sorry, can you tell us one more time where that is?
On page 6 of the report, the actual written report.
Okay.
Under fiscal impact.
Okay, and then on the
then on page 8, when you're looking at Exhibit 1, personnel charges for the proposed 08 is $16,200.
Okay.
Under operations, your subtotal there is $29,925.
Okay.
And then under administration is a total of $8,600 for a total of $54,725.
Oh, okay.
And
I see.
those are taking into consideration the extra week, the extra 3-week session? 2-week sessions?
I believe so, Commissioner Devine. And it takes into consideration in terms of if you're looking at, I'm looking at 0607 proposed. Yeah, I'm not sure because we have 2 hourlies. One is a hourly city worker program director at an hourly rate of $30 an hour for the $10,800, and a rec leader at 40 hours a week at a cost of $15 an hour for $5,400. And if you compare that to the 07 dollar amounts, there may be the difference, but I'm not sure the answer to that. We can find out for you and let you know.
I assume that it does, based on my discussions with Ms. Haddad, because there was an expansion of the budget to accommodate the extra 3-week camp for the middle school girls.
And of course, these are just proposed, they're not actual,
Correct.
so it could come out lower than that.
Right.
Okay.
Do you know, Ms. Beers, if we need to formally move to approve the expenditure of the $15,000?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Chair Curlin, you do.
Okay, why don't we start with that? Is there a motion to approve the expenditure of $15,000 from our budget for...
I think what you need to do is approve the budget as a whole.
Okay.
And when you do that,
It will be in it.
to consideration.
Thank you.
All of that.
Question, and
Yes.
I didn't check in our last, we don't have a budget here, or our own
It's not attached
numbers.
here.
Right, do you have what,
I don't have that.
We can afford the
We will forward all of that to you. Unfortunately, it wasn't part of the packet that you received or I received. And so that's something that we can forward to you so that you know what the totals are. And I see Lucy's looking up one of maybe the older items, agenda items, and see if we can pull that up.
I just have a question on the personnel. It looks like for 2008, we'll have one less recreation leader than in 2007?
Correct. And I think that is, Commissioner Lamel, is in having some discussions with Ms. Haddad regarding the program as a whole and receiving some feedback as they received it and really going through the program for its first initial year. And having some experiences at hand, they were able to pull back in some areas, make some additional classes available, workshops available, and kind of adjust as we go along with the experiences and what we've learned, basically. And so, in terms of talking to her as a whole, that's kind of the gist I got from her, that we would be able to cut back in certain areas.
I'm just wondering, though, if we have one less personnel, aren't you going to have more girls this time, an additional week as well?
There will be three-week camps. One for middle school girls, one for high school, and a second for high school. So the same staff would do each of the three-week camps.
And how many? The same number of girls in each one. 60. How many girls? We usually go for
20 max girls per camp, I believe.
Correct.
Thank you.
Well, can we put should we put a sort of a specification in our, what are we doing, a recommendation that the budget does, our budget does allow us to afford? I mean, this is a safe investment. I mean, there's no problem. I think we have like 24,000.
I don't think that there is a problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Honestly. Okay. Then I move that we allocate the 15,000 for Rosie Goes to Wall Street. It's a great program.
The suggestion, excuse me, is that we approve the budget as
a whole.
set forth. So we would approve the Rosie Goes to Wall Street estimated budget sheet.
Correct.
As set forth.
I so move.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any further discussion then about the budget? Okay. Is there unanimous consent then to approve the budget? Commissioner Walker? Yes.
I guess I'm also concerned with what Commissioner Devine said, and also looking at what other programs and potential expenditures that we have for the remaining of the year, even if we have 24,000 and this is 15,000, so that's approximately like 11,000. But if there's other programs that we have to take that into consideration. And probably not knowing that, it's kind of difficult for me to, make that decision.
Actually, if you look, you can look at our calendar quickly, which is a future item on the agenda, but if that assists you in framing the issue, our upcoming programs, we have camp in June, July, and August. In September, we have a Money Matters salon. We generally approve somewhere in the ballpark of $250 for our food, reproduction, that kind of thing. Our costs may rise a little bit for venue and extra expenditures that were in the past covered by the city, but I wouldn't anticipate that would be too much. October, we have Domestic Violence Awareness Month. How much we spend will depend on what we're doing, and we're just now formulating what those activities would be, but we usually start by supporting the YWCA and their Candlelight Vigil, which has no cost to us. We probably will have another survivor panel for them if they would like that, where we have people come and speak. Usually it's the printing of the galley cards, which we were able to do pretty inexpensively last year. There were no T-shirts or anything for that, so kind of what events we do in October will drive that budget. We have in November, and we can come back to this because it's not on the calendar, but I believe it's scheduled. In October or November, we have a voting forum with the League of Women Voters, and that is scheduled, although not on our calendar, and that is similar to the salon, the $250 or so, the flyer that's disseminated mostly by email or put around the library or through the regular channels, and the food for that. So we kind of have the two salons and Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I think that pretty much takes us through the year. And the next big expenditure of funds would be to gear up for our March Jewels of Glendale, which brings in money. So we just need to have enough money to put out to, reserve our room and do the invites and printing and those kind of things. So if we kind of stick with the template that we have, that's sort of what we have on the horizon, if that helps you.
And also, if I can add, Chair Curlin, Commissioners, you received a report in April regarding the Jewels event only, and your profits for that at that time was $18,160. And so that also puts a little bit of a framework. And again, apologies for not having the actuals here for you. Should have been part of this report. But you have that minimal amount, and you did have some monies in your accounts prior to that. So it'll be upwards of 20.
So the approximate balance that we have takes into account the $5,000 that we appropriated for the cruise night? Is it $5,000 for the giveaways?
I believe it was up to $5,000 for our giveaway.
So
yes,
that takes into account.
Yes, it does, because
And-
you already took action on that.
And one more thing is in February 09, which is another item for consideration, so we don't want to blend our discussion, but just for purposes of upcoming expenditures, if we do host the ACCW meeting, we have an action item of an amount not to exceed $1,000 for the hosting of that, which would be in February 09, so that also would precede our Jewels event. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Because we were actually in the middle of voting.
That's correct.
And we had a motion, we had a further discussion, and
Would you like me to take roll on this?
Yes, please.
Okay. Vice Chair Devine?
Yes.
Katefian? Lamel?
Yes.
Commissioner Monasterio?
Yes.
Sobey?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Chair Curlin?
Yes. Okay, very good. Is any further direction needed at this time, or was it preliminarily the approval of the budget so that planning can go forward?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you have any further direction other than approval of the budget?
Okay, and a lot of what's been planned and what's changed is in here. Does anyone have any further comments that can be shared with Ms. Haddad, or any further discussion, or is everyone satisfied that we're on track and everything's proceeding?
I just had a question, Chair Kerwin. Regarding the mentorship program, I was wondering, in one of the reports, if I'm not wrong, I read it that it's supposed to be in the mid-June of this year, or it was supposed to happen. I don't know if we're on track on that. Are we going to work on that, or is it for next year? So could you...
To clarify, we had hoped that of the girls that we had worked with, we would develop a core group that we would continue to do the after-school clubs with, which we were tentatively calling the Money Manners Clubs, which would have financial literacy focus, but also other topics, and that we would also match those women up, those girls, with mentors. And we already had some women volunteer to be mentors in the community. We had some difficulty with our first group of women. A lot of them went to work at ARC, and so they've been involved in the community, which is a good thing, but they weren't really available to us to participate in our program. So we're hoping to do a new approach that's sort of addressed in the report this year to stress the importance of continuing to be involved and to do our Rosie clubs after school in the coming 6 months, so that we can get a pool of girls and proceed while we still have those mentors and they're interested in mentoring.
So it is in the plans for this coming year?
Yes, definitely so, as well as the after-school club. So it didn't happen last year, and we're just hoping it was just, that particular population, and we'll try again.
Oh, great. Thank you.
And, if it doesn't happen again, maybe we reassess. Maybe that's not a necessary thing, or, the interest is to come to camp and be done. So we'll see how it is. Okay, any other further direction for staff?
Yes, I would like, see, I'm looking at the proposed, the actual, and the proposed. If we can get the variance between the 07 and 08, and then just like little line item explanations, because you have like some allocations that are zero, and I'm not so privy to really what happened, and I know I have to be, more involved in actually visiting the program, but just certain explanations as to why, we budgeted for it, and then there's no actual amount expended on it. Is it because it was donated? Is it because it's not needed? It just kind of helps us.
Commissioner Walker, are you referring to things like T-shirts, first aid supplies, that type of thing?
Yes.
Okay, I think the T-shirt issue is addressed in the report, in that it sort of fell by the wayside. It didn't happen, and there wasn't a need, but it's something that is desired again for the future, because we were short on time. So I think that item is specifically addressed.
But what I'm saying is that so that it's easier, that it's just in one place, and usually some budgets would have line item explanations, especially if the variance is really high. So, for the public too, that would be good.
Okay, is there anything specific, because it seems to be kind of plain English, like sort of self-explanatory. Is there anything in particular where you think it warrants a line item discussion because it's not clear?
No, just like a line item, like what you said, camp T-shirts, why, we had the 0 for that. Maybe is it time constrained or whatever?
Yes, that's in the report text, so there wasn't time to get that done.
I understand what you're saying, Chair Curlin, but what I'm saying is that to just have in the budget, like the explanations, side-by-side, items with big variance, so that people wouldn't have to, go back and peruse the whole report. The report is really wonderful. It's, really extensive, and I particularly like the evaluation part, professionally done.
Okay, we can make that suggestion then, that Ms. Haddad, while the budget has been approved, I guess we present it with a variance column and line item discussions. Are you mostly interested in items where there was no expenditure?
Items with big variance.
Chair
Defined
Curlin,
as, yes.
If we could, and if it would be okay with the commission, what we can do for future budgetary items that come before the commission is to have a variance line, as you suggested, Commissioner Walker. And if there are huge differences in the percentages, it generally goes back to the report in terms of the explanation, as you indicated, and we don't generally do it as a line item as a part of the budget. But we can have a section right underneath this budget that says the line items and kind of pick it out of the report for future budgets that come before you. Unless you want us to rework this and email it to you, we can do that or re-agendize it. But
I certainly don't think we need to at this juncture because we've approved it and because time constraints and we need to move forward. Would you be satisfied for the future to do that?
Yeah, and I'm saying that it's not changing the vote that we have, but it's just clarifying again and making it a lot more detailed,
Is it your request, though, that staff represent that at the next meeting, reworked in that format?
And then in future reports that we have.
Okay. Is there anyone else that feels that that's necessary or helpful? I don't want to have unnecessary time for staff if we feel satisfied with this and could consider it for future budgetary items. Is there any further thoughts or feelings about that?
If it's put in spreadsheet format, that should really be easy to get the formulas.
Is it simply just plugging in the numbers that you may already have?
Well, the numbers are here, and it's just putting in what the variances are, and that's not hard to do. It's just the line items. Again, it's not difficult to do. We'll just have to pull them out of the report if there is a big variance.
And add maybe a notes section, not...
That's what...
The ones that we're talking about now are $100 and $150, and I don't think that those are necessary. I think big variances are $1,000 or more, I would think. I don't know if you want to get into specifics like that, but I think for smaller,
are we talking about variance in terms of the actual dollar amount or percentage?
I was thinking of a percentage.
Yes, exactly. That's usually what happens.
Okay, so then, Chair Curlin, I guess we'd be looking for a clarification as to what percentage that you're looking for. Or is it any percentage that you want called out, or is it just a small percentage? And then the second item I think that you were seeking maybe some sort of consensus on is whether or not you want this item on the agenda, or do you just want it by way of a report, just emailed to everyone, or do you want it back for discussion purposes? Because I think you were seeking clarity from your fellow commissioners on that point.
Yes, I don't think it's necessary to bring it back. Do you? Is it something that can be emailed informally to everyone for your review?
And then maybe the next...
Is that acceptable?
Yeah, the next packet that we have, get the updated
Because what we'll do is at the end of the camp, we'll have our sort of debrief report, again, like we had the after report this time, that will go through it, that will now fill in the actuals, and we'll see all that information, and I'm sure we'll have explanations for any big variances. So,
And I
okay.
guess it also helps us in our future financial, reporting and budgeting purposes, to just really make it, professional in that way.
Okay. Are we, any other questions or comments or directions?
One thing, I would like to see the advertising, promo, and publicity plan, number 7. Because it's gone up, it's doubled, and I'd just like to see the plan, the timeline of what's going to be produced.
What we can do then is ask that, why don't you discuss that with Ms. Haddad, so that's kind of an area of interest to you, and see whether informally what is being done, and maybe offer your suggestions or expertise for anything that can be done.
Perhaps another suggestion would be that this item come back to you just overall. Just if you have questions that are specific to Ms. Haddad, you can direct them to her at the next meeting, so that there wouldn't be a specific report, just an update. If you have questions, then you do have the opportunity to do that.
Kind of a status of planning, how the camp
Correct.
is proceeding, and an update on where we're at, has staff been hired, maybe those kind of things.
Correct.
Okay, then why don't we do that and agendize it for next month, kind of the Camp Rosie status. Okay, very good. That's a good suggestion. Okay, anybody else? Any questions or direction for staff? Okay, very good. We do have, I guess we're sufficient on our motions then, correct? Okay. Okay, our next item on the agenda then is 7A3, consideration and discussion of hosting the Association of California Commissions for Women quarterly business meeting in February 2009. And that comes with a motion, as you will see set forth on your report.
Would you like a report?
Does anyone have any questions about the report or need any further information?
I'd like to get a little more clarity on how did the $1,000 figure come about?
I have that information, thankfully.
Great.
All right. You're up.
Okay. Basically, for the February 2009 proposed budget for the ACCW, and this again would be a one-day event in the evening, labor costs in terms of setup and takedown is $300. Food, refreshments for breakfast, lunch, snacks, and drinks for 25 individuals is $500 at $20 per person inclusive. Graphics, we set aside $100 for, and miscellaneous in terms of honorarium or a gift for the speaker at $100 for a total of $1,000.
If that number increased from 25, or is it always 25? Is that pretty standard?
From what I understand from Ms. Haddad is the 25 is a standard in terms of the number of people who generally attend these meetings.
And
I think she gave room for a couple.
Okay.
Yes.
And then usually when you're the host, like probably all of us would attend, or as many of us are available that day, so that bumps the number up a little bit. But still, it's, you'll get some people from the north who won't come and more people from the south who are local, so it kind of just depends. We may have had about 40 the first year that we hosted, so we can see then too as the RSVPs come in, but usually that doesn't impact the hard costs, it's just a little bit more for food.
Okay. I'm just thinking, because it is the 5th anniversary, am I correct, that we would maybe do something a little special to commemorate that, because that was one of the reasons that it was brought up in our last meeting, in the last quarterly meeting that we would host it. They suggested that it would be a nice idea to do that because of the 5th anniversary.
I can't believe it's the 5th anniversary. We seem too young.
So we may want to consider maybe increasing the budget a little, just in case. Well, something a little more special.
One of the options that we have on this item is to appoint either a lead or a committee and a committee chair to do this, to get all the logistics and the budget, et cetera, organized. So that may be a way of going and solving those problems.
Okay, why don't we tackle this with the motions that are set forth for us, and then we can tackle that issue. Our first motion is motion A motion to host the Association of California Commissions for Women quarterly business meeting in February 2009. Is there a motion?
Yes, I
Yes.
am.
And
That we do
Commissioner
host it.
Limmel, and a second?
A second.
Commissioner Walker, is there any further discussion then? Is there unanimous consent then as to the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Our next motion is item B, the motion to appropriate funds for the ACCW business meeting of February 2009. The staff recommendation is $1,000. Whoever makes the motion is free to bump that number up if she feels it's appropriate to do so.
I would move for it to be increased maybe by $500.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve a budget of $1,500 for the hosting of the meeting. Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any further discussion then as to the amount? Okay, is there unanimous consent then to approve a budget of up to $1,500 for the ACCW meeting? Okay, that motion carries. And then, as Vice Chair Devine pointed out, there's a recommendation that we either create an ad hoc planning committee or that we assign a task lead. That was sort of our structure for the last year or 2 years, and that seems to be working very well. So offhand, is anyone interested in being the task lead? Let's start there. Anyone interested in being the task lead for the hosting of the meeting to work with Ms. Haddad on the day's planning?
I would be happy to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
I can help her, too.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so we have task lead, Commissioner Limmel, and we have the assistance of Commissioner Manasarian. Do we need a motion then for that, or is that something we can just do?
You don't need a motion.
Okay, very good. Is there any further discussion for this event? Okay, great. It's going to be exciting to be doing that again. I think that's really good for our visibility in California, and we've done so well in California with the other women's commissions. It'll be nice to give them a status sort of what we've done. So we need to do something really good this year. Perfecting our camp. Okay, our next item on the agenda then is 7A4, our master calendar of events, and a motion to provide direction regarding the calendar. We did jump ahead and take a peek at it. As I pointed out, I know from the Women at the Table event that we spoke with Ms. Haddad, and I spoke with the League of Women Voters about the need to secure a date, and it turned out we already had a date. So we do need to add that date, and I don't have it in my calendar. It's either in October or November, and we don't have a specific title, but it's our voting event, you know, probably the initiatives, education, and things component with the League of Women Voters. So if we could just give general direction to add that date.
We'll do that.
Okay, and if it's not a specific date, add it at least on the calendar, but I think there is a specific date. Any other changes or comments?
Just a typo on
Okay.
2009.
Oh yeah, we're 2009. Huh?
Coming up.
Okay, very good. We should add the ACCW meeting date once we have it, but we may not have that immediately, but we should sort of mark that we're the host. So it stands out, not just another meeting. Okay, any other changes to the calendar?
Just a question.
Yes.
July is the National Association, or what is CW Commissioners, Commission on Women, is that what it means?
Yes, that's one of the, we're members of the two, ACCW and NACW,
Yes.
so that's our national, I think it's Association of Commissions for Women.
Okay, and is somebody attending from our commission? How does that?
Plan is that I'm going to attend, so as soon as Ms. Haddad returns, I'm going to be planning with her. Comes about.
Is there a budget if there's additional commissioners who want to attend? I think this will be a good, opportunity for us to learn more about, the other commissions out there.
Do we have someone that's other than myself that's interested in going? Because I think we asked that previously.
Where's the location?
Commissioner, it's in New Mexico. is it?
Albuquerque, I think.
Yeah.
I think what we did is, I don't know if you were on the commission yet or not, so you may remember this. We picked a delegate and an alternate for ACCW and NACW, and I'm not sure if our current composition has those representatives intact as we placed them. And I think that we did approve some nominal budget, pretty minimal amount of money for the delegate, and if the delegate can't go, then the alternate, but we don't generally pay or reimburse anyone generally to go. Ms. Beers, did you have a comment?
A comment is for clarification purposes. We do have in the budget for a delegate attending that conference if you so wish to send one, just as you stated. So there are funds allocated in the management services budget for that travel.
Okay.
And
For just one person, though.
Right. And if that one person is myself, I'd be more than happy if anyone else is interested in going to split that so that two of us could go, because I think it would be important, it'd be good if more than one went.
Yeah, and actually
More
the
than
website encourages, various commission members, not just one, to attend. Yeah. So I'm interested in attending. I know I haven't been really active and networking with other commissions, so this would be a good learning opportunity for me.
What is the cost? Does anybody know the cost of the registration?
I don't know.
I have the flyer at
It's
home.
probably
If you are
nacw.org or .com.
Yeah, an official, I checked the site, but if you're an official delegate, then you get a discounted registration.
It's a really excellent opportunity to get a lot of the ideas that we can then bring back to our community, new programs and just fresh things that we haven't thought of when you see what other commissions are doing, and then you put your own spin on them and bring them. So I would encourage anyone who's available to go.
And I think also the opportunity for us to kind of share and kind of market the things, the wonderful, programs that we're doing, because I looked at some of the best practices that's out there, and I think we can include, our programs here as best practices.
Good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Very
Chair
good.
Curlin, what we'll have to do is look and see what the total cost of the conference is for an individual to attend in terms of registration, hotel, lodging, et cetera. And at that point, we can make a decision in terms of what the dollars are in terms of what we have budgeted for this travel and how far it'll go, basically.
Okay, very good.
Is that information, can that be emailed, since if we wait till the next meeting, it's going to be the same month as the convention?
It can be emailed, just don't reply all, and don't discuss it by email. If you have questions, direct your questions
Just
to Ms.
information.
Haddad.
Yeah.
Yes.
To know how much it is, just in case we can take it on
For
individually.
the conference, sure.
Yes,
Oh, absolutely. We'll get that
registration.
information.
I'm sure
I
it's
think
probably
it's on the website as well.
It's probably nacw.org or .com. And then they probably have a link to all the conference materials and registration. Okay. Any other discussion then for calendaring? Let's remember to put cruise night and anything that has a date attached to it that are our programs into our calendars so we can save the date. It'll be July before we know it. Can you believe it?
When is the Unity Fest?
That's
Oh, that's
usually
there.
October.
Okay.
Is it on there already?
Yes.
There.
No date, though.
Okay.
Updated it.
Very good. Any other questions? Okay, then, is there a motion to approve the calendar with the changes that have been set forth?
I so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, then the calendar is approved with those suggested changes. Okay, our next item on the agenda is 7B, reports information only. We have the report on Women at the Table, how to get appointed to a citizen board or commission. And we'll just open it up. Does anyone have anything they want to say about that event?
I'd like to just mention that we were pleasantly surprised when we walked in tonight to see that it's airing on GTV6, so I hope that
That's the Rosie one that was airing on GTV6, from what I could be wrong. The one I saw last week was the Rosie one, so I misspoke.
Oh, this is our Women at the Table.
No, this is Women at the Table. We
didn't
saw
even know it was
tonight.
edited
yes,
yet.
we didn't know it was on. Yes, right, yeah. So it's, we just saw a sneak preview tonight, so hopefully everyone will be watching. But I do want to say about the the program. It was well attended. The reaction was very positive, and I'm so proud of everyone that attended, and thanks to all the commissioners and board members that were there. We really appreciated your attendance, and to our city clerk for being the guest speaker. He did a fabulous job, and I think it's a program that is worthwhile, and I hope that everyone will watch who couldn't be there that night to try to catch it on GTV6.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
It's just interesting to me how needed our program was and how very much appreciated it was. That surprised me, but very happily so.
And I had several guests, and they really, really appreciated the program. It was very informative, so very thrilled.
And I just want to highlight the evaluation that we received. I think it's really excellent that, we have 90 plus 94 and 100% rating in the top third range. So that's really wonderful, with a 45% return rate,
Which is also good. Yes. Very good.
well, higher than the average.
I certainly commend Ms. Haddad for coming way under budget. And
She usually does.
but that's even more than 50%, which is wonderful. And from what we saw, the short clip that we saw downstairs of the program, the editing looks like it was done very well. Very well done.
But we should note that the editing production costs aren't in it yet. So the amount will grow.
Okay.
See those little asterisks?
Yeah.
So the big one is the taping and production, and that is costly, but that was sort of a value judgment we made, that's a really good service, and if we see that airing on TV, I do think that is worth every penny of it. So we'll wait to see. We'll hold judgment on that.
Okay. So far, so good.
The fixed costs she always, holds down and whatever. It's that stuff.
There's still a lot of cushion.
Vendor. Yes, exactly. I know we had talked about doing this one maybe regularly, and I was suggesting maybe every other year, but several people have suggested we do it every year. So let's remember to agendize this early next year for discussion about whether to do it again and when we should fit it into our calendar so that maybe it becomes an annual program.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the program?
And just double checking to make sure I don't know what the process is, so that we can maybe stream the video on our website. I don't know who does that.
I think all of the programs are available. Are they not?
Specifically on the CSW website?
We'll check on that. All the commission meetings are streamed, but I'm not sure if all of our videos are. So
that's more of like a show, right? Okay.
We'll have to check on that.
Okay. That would be a good
I
suggestion
think
if we
had
could do it.
a discussion before to, have it available on the video on the website as well.
Yeah, that would be great if you could just click and watch it from your desktop. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, very good. Then we'll file that away. And this takes us to item 8, our commissioner and staff comments. We'll just go in order. Commissioner Lamel, any comments tonight?
I'll just say that the mixer, the appointment mixer, was a great way to connect with the community and to make ourselves more accessible, and I thought that was a very good. I'd love to see that again next year.
Great. Vice Chair Devine?
Just a few comments and announcements. And first, congratulations to Commissioner Sobey for the award that she received at the Film Festival for her film, Desperately Seeking Paul McCartney. We're very proud of her, and we hope to show that film to the Glendale community. It was the award she received was, I believe, audience favorite, which I think is a really good indication that it must be fun and intelligent, and she says it's empowering to women, so I think it's something that we should bring to Glendale, definitely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Second announcement, I'd like to let everyone know that Relay for Life is seeking teams, and so if you're interested in supporting the American Cancer Society and the City of Glendale's terrific event, Relay for Life, please call 548-4844 and get involved. It's a wonderful event, and if you're a survivor, you can take part in the Survivor Lap. It's free, and it's wonderful, and please join in the event. And I would like to give forewarning to those of you that are watching. Commissioner Manasarian is going to tell you about a program that the YWCA is presenting. It's called the Luis. It's a mentor program for Armenian women, so you can help women in abusive relationships who are seeking help so that you will know what to do. She's going to give you more information, but I'm just giving you an alert, and please listen when she talks about that. And thank you.
Commissioner Manasarian.
All right. I'm on.
You're on.
We segue.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction, Commissioner Devine. Glendale YWCA will be having its mentorship program called Luis for Armenian Women. It's going to be held on June 14th. It's going to be from 10 to 11:30 a.m., so it's not that long. It's going to be at the YWCA administrative offices located at 735 East Lexington Drive in the Redwood Room. And the Luis Mentor Program is for Armenian women of Glendale who want to be a resource for other Armenian women in abusive relationships, seeking to either survive with tools to keep them safe while living with their abuser, or who are seeking solutions and answers to how best to leave that relationship and be safe. So it's a great program, and if you'd like to be helping with that program and be there and empower other women, please call Shake Gazarian, and the number is 818-242-4155, extension 227. Again, I'll repeat the number slowly. It's 242-4155, extension 227, and that's Shake Gazarian. Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Sobey, any comments tonight?
It's just that I don't see our film festival calendared.
That's part of our DVAM activity.
Okay, and
it
I'm
will be
certainly
there.
not just thinking of it for my film, but
Okay.
films of other women in the area.
Okay, that's on the agenda. Okay, good. Commissioner Walker.
Yes, I just want to invite the public. June 14, Saturday, is the Philippine Independence Day, the 110th celebration at the Harvard Library here in Glendale, and it starts at 5 p.m. There's going to be food, refreshments, entertainment, especially cultural dances, and then meet and greet your officials. And certainly I would like to personally invite my co-commissioners to attend that event. And again, that will be June 14 at 5 o'clock p.m. And speaking of film festivals, our expert here is the Commissioner Sobey. There's another film festival, the U.S. Film Festivals, and I just would like to congratulate a Filipino film that made it and got a Golden Award. It's the Proudly Filipina, and they sent a crew over here from the Philippines to accept the award and videotape yours truly to be one of the to be featured in that film that will be shown in the Philippines. So I just want to say hi to especially the young women in the Philippines, and to probably if they are, viewing this commission meeting, to just really encourage them to participate and be active, and hopefully the commission here and my co-commissioners have inspired them to take a proactive leadership role.
Commissioner Kevanian, any comments tonight?
I'd like to also congratulate Commissioner Sobey.
Thank you.
And the Girls on the Run program seems kind of interesting for, the girls out here in Glendale to get another program added to the city of Glendale.
Exactly. I agree. I went to their fundraiser this weekend, and it was awesome. And I had met Molly Barker in April when she was getting an award for women lawyers, black women lawyers, and Latino lawyers, and I was on the committee that sponsored that event. So it was a delight to meet her, and I was so inspired. And when I found out there was a local chapter, I said, we have to do something to see if we can bring this to Glendale. So I'll continue to work with Ms. Haddad to see how we could do that, and then we'll bring it to the commission when we have it sort of formulated, whether it's feasible and how we could do that. So I think it would be great. It fits in with our Year of the Girl. It fits in with leadership. And if we do move to health in 2009, it encompasses that as well. Okay, we have one more award recipient to congratulate. Our Vice Chair, Paula Devine, is the recipient of the Glendale Adventist Medical Center Flame Award for her extensive work in the cancer fundraising area and for her work on Relay for Life. So congratulations to you for a very well-deserved award for all your hard work. Okay, and yes, Ms. Beers.
I would just like to say the reason why I'm sitting in tonight, I'd like to congratulate Lana Haddad on her wedding this weekend in Palm Springs. That's why she's not with us this evening. So a huge congratulations to Lana, and we miss her already. I told her today that we missed her. I spoke to her very briefly, but she'll be back with us on Thursday.
And I think congratulations from all of us. A shout out to our girl. Okay, Ms. Arpetian, anything? Okay, very good. Then this concludes our meeting, and we are